Now, when you build a map, you normally just think of it as terrain, and it is that, but you also normally, or at least I have in the past, identify where I want starting units, or maybe I want to say, okay, this is a supply depot, so let's come into the map layer and say I'm gonna build a record for that supply depot and give it its initial values. Maybe it's resources per turn. Maybe he's a blacksmith there, so he's able to build artillery or something to that effect. Or maybe they're on a coastal city and over here, and you have a port or docks, and you have a ship maker there so they can build ships. You can actually build your starting classes and assign them to locations on the screen. So again, each class is going to be its own unique layer. Each class is going to have its own emblem to initialize and let you know on its layer where it exists. So um, you have to keep track of those. Let's go ahead and just create a supply guy. So we're going to say we're here. Let's come over and say I want to create a class. Now you're building a table basically here. Here's your placement. Okay, so this is going to be, let's say, supply. So this is supply. Our ID is 1. He's the first guy. We're going to use what kind of marker? Oh my goodness, we have lots. There you go. That's a good one. So placement. Now envision, if you will, that you have this square, 64 by 64, sitting here. Okay? So if we go with either 1, 2, or 5, we're actually in the cell here. If I go with 9, 13, or 14, I'm over here. So you would want to keep yours into the center quadrant here to make it match. So what I'm going to choose is 6. So he's on the right hand side, and he'll be about right where my pointer is when he places that emblem on that cell. That way, when I define another class, I would say, okay, 6 is used. Maybe we use 7 on the next one, then 10 and 11 and 14 and 15, and then 2 and 3. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can create the class. And if you have all of your layers visible, you will see all of your classes marked with emblems on your grid itself. Or you can jump over and hide whatever layers you don't want to see. Now, classes themselves begin with 3 rows. You automatically have an ID, you automatically have a name, you have a row, and you have a column. And that is where his location is on the grid. Now, you can add, let's see, maybe we come in here and we say your resources, right? Your resources. And I want you to be a number, okay? So a number, and that's all I got to say. And let's say, let's come over here and say, I want something that's going to be multiple choice. Can build, how about that? Can build, and this is going to be a combo box, so you're going to get 1 selection. Ooh, why did that jump up there? Did I hit the wrong one? I can fix that. Hold on, we just put that back. I must have gone higher. Okay, so here's your options. We're going to say Army, artillery, and notice I'm not putting spaces in between these because it takes the literal between commas, and that is your answer that you get. When the file spit out at the end of this, you're going to see that this has, Army, not Army Space or Space Army. Okay, so artillery and maybe what, tanks. How about that? Okay, so now we can say, okay, we're all good with this. Let's go ahead and save. Okay, so we have our class. And now it's time to go ahead and build the map layer. So first you build your class. Now that the class exists, we want to come build the layer. And oops, I already put it in here, so I'll go ahead and kill it. And now what we're going to do is come in and say, okay, we're going to build the layer. I don't want to mess with the title because I'll show you why. We're going to say that this is going to be a custom class, and that our class will be the supply. Whoops, hit the right button. There we go. And now he populates our layer name with supply, which matches the class. So now we can come back and we can play the game of let's create some records. So I've selected class. We have the record here selected as supply. We're on our map layer supply, and I want to turn on edit mode. So now let's take our city and make it a supply base. Well, that'll be an objective. Let's use this one. So if I left click there, I'll get a new record, and let's call this something silly. PPLY depot DEPOT number 1. So we got our supply depot 1. He's at row and column 2. Those are already filled in for us from our click of the screen. And let's see our initial resources. Let's say he starts out with 500 and our can build armies. Okay, so we can say save. And lo and behold, look what we got here. We have a small representation of our, and this is on our supply layer. So that's telling us that this hex has a supply record for that hex. And it's in position 6, if you'll recall, because we have 4 and 4 and 4. So what I'm doing is we can create multiple records for Supply Depot, and we will be able to see them all. You will be able to come over here and say, let's not see the Supply Depot, and hit save. And now our Supply Depot is not being displayed. That layer isn't there. We can come back and say, okay, let's make sure we turn it on. Let's go ahead and turn our town labels on as well. So now we're looking at the sunken road, and we have a supply depot, and we have a marker 4 for whatever we're going to say it is, that it's a so it was an objective number 4 for the opponent team. Now, if you convert all this over in thinking for a second and say, let's build a platform game, and you go and start putting your platform game together, well, these classes could be 100-point tokens. Okay, they could be 1-point tokens. They could be, just where the bosses are on the level, where the bad guys are on the level, where the traps, where this, secret passages, that sort of thing are being marked on the screen. And then there's no limit to the number of classes that you can have. Each class will be represented by a row in the grid here, and that goes on for as long as you want to build it. Every table that every class you create can have 25 fields. You get 5 combo boxes per class, and then the rest of them are all strings or numbers or what have you. And you also have the binary checkbox field as well that you can use on your class. So um, when you place classes and you have a class, and let's say I want to modify this class, so I want to put the grid back into edit mode and come down, and I'm going to right click that record. And there we go. We're back to our supply depot. We know it's an Army 500. I can change it to cavalry, artillery, or whatever the options I put in were. And you're off and running. So classes is a really powerful thing. And it lets you look at, with the turning the various levels on and off for vision perspective, you can see how evenly you have your bosses placed, or how where you need to do something else on your map. It gives you these visual cues that that you need when you're building your various maps and whatnot. So pretty much that covers the various classes, or the pieces that make up the MapMaker. I've hit onto the categories and the graphics in the last one. Classes we've covered pretty extensively here. No, you can build lots of them. Um, it's all in what it is that you want to do. I have also given you the ability to change the map, and that's another important thing on this map maker. You can make your maps bigger or smaller. Now, I did limit this to you're adding rows to the right, or columns to the right, or you're adding rows to the bottom, or you're taking off rows from the right, or you're deleting rows from the bottom. If you know this going in, you can plan accordingly. Let's say you want to build a map of the European theater of World War II, or North Africa or something. You want to start with the most eastern edge of where your map is. That way, as you build the map, your guess of how big your map is can easily grow, and you don't have to move everything, is what I'm saying. So keep that in mind, that you can extend your map to the right and you can extend your map down. And that is how this works there. And distinct. Let's come look. So out of our maps so far, these are our distinct sprite sheets and actual tile IDs that make up this particular map. So I believe the first one up there is probably our grass, because I think we started with grass. We got a couple, three of them that were foliage. We got some swamps. We got the roads. We got all the different road pieces that are in there. And you'll only get one record on this distinct table for each individual graphic. And I think that pretty much sums up what MapMaker is and does. I'll build one more video after this that will pick up the export and review of all the export stuff that you get from exporting, because that's really what the goal in this is to build something that's manageable and workable that you then suck into an actual game playing piece of software. And it is on my to-do list. I got quite a long to-do list now that I've started building lots and lots of videos of things. And but I do want myself to go build a war game engine that takes the output of this and then sucks it up into the game module and lets people play the game. So that really concludes this video. We'll pick it up with the output on the next one. See y'all.